Look, recovery doesn't need to be complicated. In fact, recovery is very simple and straightforward. In this video, I'm going to share with you 3 easy ways to quickly get to recovery. So if you're dealing with physical symptoms, if you're getting these intrusive thoughts, if you're getting these feelings of unreality, derealization, or depersonalization, pay attention. I'm going to share with you the fastest way to get to recovery so that you could just go on to live and not deal with this any longer. Let's get started. So before we get started, I want to give you a link to a book that kind of goes into a deeper dive of what I'm going to be discussing in this video. It's really going to be sharing with you what's happening, why it's happening, and just going a step beyond, really showing you how to really come out. Now, this book is absolutely free. There's no cost to it. The link is down below. It's for you so that you can focus on recovery. So with that said, let's get into step 1. What's the first thing? The fastest way to really get to recovery is, this is going to sound ridiculous, but getting everything ruled out by your doctor and believing them. And so what happens is that when people are struggling with anxiety, when they're getting these physical symptoms that's convincing them that there must be something wrong, when they're getting these intrusive thoughts that, what if I'm going crazy? When they're getting these feelings of unreality where they start questioning their existence, it's really easy to think, how am I ever going to get out of this? Am I going to be able to get out of this? What if the doctors miss something? What if anxiety leads to something else? And no matter what assurances they get from their doctor, they can't believe it. And what I find is with these individuals that really have a hard time believing it, it really slows down their recovery. So when these individuals go to doctors, it almost feels like they're being neglected. It can feel like that, especially if you think this isn't anxiety. They go from one doctor to another to another. Pretty soon, they start Google searching and start self-diagnosing themselves. Pretty soon, they start going on online forums trying to figure out what's happening. You start seeing them become obsessed with their symptoms. They just can't make it go away. And so they become more and more obsessed, which leads to more anxiety, which, can you imagine what happens? Leads to more symptoms. And then what happens is that they see that this becomes an obsession. They can't stop thinking about their anxiety, when this could have all been mitigated if they just believe their doctors. I actually believed that this wasn't anxiety, that this was something wrong, and it really delayed my progress. It really delayed my recovery journey, and it honestly led to a lot of suffering. What happens is that anxiety kind of plays into the unknown. Here's what I mean. Anxiety is great at convincing you that what you're going through isn't anxiety. And the reason why it's doing that is because it wants to stay alive. So what happens is that these individuals that are trying to recover, they're not convinced it's anxiety. And so it's very important that if you've gotten everything ruled out by your doctor, to believe them. And so what I typically say with the people I work with is, get everything ruled out. If you're unsure, get a second opinion, stop there. But you have to draw the line somewhere. What ends up happening is that when people don't draw the line somewhere, they start focusing on their symptoms 24/7. So that's step number 1, which is getting everything ruled out by your doctor and believing it. Which leads me to step 2, which is understand the mechanics of what's happening and stop believing the weirdness of your symptoms. Here's what I mean. See, when people are told they have anxiety, most people have the idea that anxiety is just in the head. It's just, getting a little bit nervous before filming this video, getting a little bit anxious before a presentation or asking somebody out. Anxiety is really about survival, and it can mimic certain illnesses that can seem very real, even though it's just anxiety. You can be getting dizziness, nausea, palpitations, digestive issues. You can get these really intrusive thoughts. You can get these feelings of unreality. And so what happens is that these symptoms are so bizarre that individuals just can't believe it's anxiety. But if they just had a little bit of education, if they just had a little bit of knowledge of how anxiety works. So the second quickest way to really get to recovery is understand what's happening. You have to understand why you're getting these symptoms. And the problem is that people kind of get so bewildered by the symptom. They get so surprised about how strong it is, which makes this vicious cycle happen. So they have anxiety, and then because they have the anxiety, they have the symptoms. And the symptoms surprise them, so they become bewildered, and that leads to fear. and that leads to more anxiety. So that's really the cycle. So step 2 is understand what's happening and stop getting surprised by the bizarreness of your anxiety. Which leads me to step 3, which is focus on long-term freedom, not short-term comfort. I've personally found a pattern in when people try to get this eliminated as quickly as possible, they tend to suffer the longest. It's always the people that you see on the forums that are trying to find a quick fix that are actually on the forums the longest. What I have found helping people around the world are the people that recover the fastest and do the best are the individuals that understand that this is going to take some time. This isn't going to be overnight. They're more focused on long-term freedom. Typically, these individuals are people that have struggled for a long time, ironically, because what's happened is they've tried so many things. They've exhausted so many things that they understand, okay, I just care about recovery. I don't care how long it takes. I'm just focused on getting out of this and really focusing on long-term freedom. So it's ironic, right? The fastest and quickest way to recovery is focusing on long-term freedom, not short-term comfort. Now, this sounds kind of like a paradox, but the truth is that if you focus on long-term comfort, what happens is that long-term, these symptoms go away. People that are focused on short-term comfort are always trying to find ways to cope. They're always trying to find ways to feel better. But here's the thing, they never fully feel better all the time. And what it does is that it reinforces the anxiety to come back in. And so when the anxiety comes back in, their symptoms come back. So if you can really focus on long-term freedom, that's the key. Now, I'm going to throw in a 4th quick tip to really focus on long-term freedom. The fastest way to recovery is really having someone who knows what's going on, guiding you step by step. Whoever that is, they know exactly what's keeping people up at night because they went through it themselves. And so we even have a mentorship where we're guiding people step by step to recovery. It's the fastest way to recovery because we've done it ourselves. We've streamlined the whole process. We've seen this so many times that there's nothing unique. There's nothing that we haven't seen at this point. Just making sure that you trust them and that they understand and have your best interest in mind. They're not interested in trying to sell you a product or anything like that, but they're really focused on your well-being, focused on you becoming your own guide long-term. So if that's you, if you're really trying to find somebody who's gone through this, who's helped so many people come out of this, well, why don't we just work together? I have a team of people that are dedicated in helping people fully overcome. And so if you really want to apply, the link is down below. When you hit the link, it's going to share with you a short video followed by an application. My team and I will review that application. And if you're a good fit, we'll have a free strategy session. We'll take a look at your situation. We'll see if we can genuinely help. If we can, great. We'll invite you to join us. If not, that's totally fine. We'll give you a bunch of resources so that you can focus more on long-term freedom. So I hope this video helped. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. Tell me in comments down below. What are some things that you have found that's really sped up your recovery journey? I'll see you guys in the next one.